Okay, good evening, guys. Welcome to our third episode of Country Liquor to Classy Champagne. Today we have very two important and guests, which are very close to my heart, and I will explain it to you later in the episode that why they are very closer to my heart. When I say my heart, it means Hostel Fun's heart. Let me welcome Siddhant and Dipansh, final year students of BITS Pilani. They are working on their startup, which is known as Cortex BCI. We will talk about their story, their journey, where are they in their journey currently. So welcome Siddhant, welcome Dipansh.
Thank you, Ankur. Thank you for the introduction. I'm really honored by that kind of introduction. And again, I just want to say that whatever we have achieved so far, you really played an important role in everything. And definitely I believe like Hostel Fund is a platform which is a must requirement for students who are actually looking at starting their entrepreneurial journey. And yeah, you have been a key milestone in our journey.
Yeah. No, thank you.
We are really glad to share our
So before we start, tell us more about what is Cortex BCI and what are you guys doing?
Yeah, sure.
So at Cortex BCI, we are actually building we are trying to control robotic devices using just simple thoughts. Any robotic device around you can be controlled by user's brains and his thoughts. So we are bridging the gap between man and machine by providing our solution.
So basically, what you can see is this is the vision you can say that we believe that the human brain does not have its limits, but the human body does. So what we are trying to do is to unleash the true potential of the human brain by removing the barriers of the fragile human body. And we are doing that by creating mind control robots so that we can control anything around you, be it a Binicam, be it a Alexa device, be it your home automation systems, just using one's thoughts. Because if you look at that, like all the current solutions in medical industry, which are the Binacs and everything, they have been same since 1960s. There has been no innovation and nothing new done in those aspects, and to make something easier for the user to actually use. And also, when you look at your other robotic systems, they have been controlled in a similar fashion for way too long. And now, like with the onset of Industry 4.0, that's the revolution in AI and machine learning. We believe that everything which has been done so far also needs to change. This is Gen 3. Now we are entering Gen 4, and to make us go closer to that step, we are working on creating brain-computer interfaces.
Great. But you mentioned a very important point that since 1960s or since last 40-50 years, not major innovation has happened in this field where we have seen such great developments. Why do you think that you are at a position where you can solve and maybe others are not been trying to solve? Why it is important for you guys?
Yeah, so basically one of the major factors why no one actually worked on brain-computer interfaces is the amount of computation power required. So when it was if you look at Apollo mission, Saturn V, that was just around 6 or 60,000 lines of code. And right now, 60,000 lines of code is nothing. A small program has more lines of code than that. So the computation power that's available to you right now on a very small device is much higher than that was available 50 years ago. A simple smartphone right now has 8 gigabytes of RAM, and if you compare it with a high-end desktop machine of 10 years earlier, 10 years earlier, 8 gigabytes of RAM in your desktop was considered high-end, and right now that's something which is inside your smartphone. And so this is one of the major reasons why everything was so stagnant for so many long years. And the other reason was because of the understanding of the human brain. If you look at the topic of psychology in terms of understanding how a brain functions, that actually started very late. EEG, the concept of EEG that we are actually using, that came into being in 1980s. So that was the first time we were actually able to see a brain's signal patterns, and then analyzing a brain's signals, and then looking at different parts of a brain and doing psychological research. That took a lot of time. So right now we are at the threshold that we have got enough background information and also huge amounts of computation power available at our expense and at a very low cost, so that we can actually create these kind of systems which are being able to control using your thoughts.
Okay. I think this is a lot of tech and innovation. Let me get back to the basics. Why are you doing this? Yeah, as your students, kids. Like when I am at your age, we just studied and had fun. Is it fun what you guys are doing, and why are you doing that?
Yeah.
Yeah, so this what we are doing has been extremely fascinating for us. We entered this via our projects and research. We were studying about several biosignals. We were studying about robotics. Me and Siddhant actually met around 4 years ago in a KVPY camp, and we had a discussion about robotics at that time. And since we met in college, from day one, we have been working on several robotic projects together. So it has been fun. Like we both used to study together. We both used to search for different things, robots together. So once in our technical fest, we saw a person controlling a person controlling second person's arm using muscle signals. So we went back home. We studied online, and we realized that it can also, like, there are EEG signals too. So why can't we control directly using brain? So it has been really fascinating.
So basically, and also like if you could look up, there's a TED talk from Greg Gage, and and actually that is the demo that we saw during our technical fest. So basically, once I saw that, and we went back, and then I was like doing research, like okay, means your body's signals can be used to control stuff, and that's something which is very interesting and very futuristic looking. So I did more research into it, and then found out that okay, muscle signals have been in existence for so long. But then I realized, why are we taking, like, everybody knows that source is the best place to get something. Then why are we taking those signals from muscles? They limit yourselves in functionality. They limit yourselves in the amount of efforts required. Also, the time duration is increased. So that's why we realized, okay, why not, like, instead of taking the signals from your muscles, let's take the signals directly from your brain and then work upon them. We have a bigger atlas available. We have a bigger domain available. We are not just limited to a few muscle groups. We are actually, our domain just opened up to the complete human body. And not only the body's actions, but also a person's personal thoughts and everything else.
Including emotions.
Yep.
Okay. So tell me, both of you are co-founders. So who plays what role? Like who? And I'm assuming, do you guys fight between the two of you?
No, so for us right now, it's just like koi kar le.
Like 90% of our roles are interchangeable.
Yep.
If I think of something, then it has to bounce off Siddhant's brain as well. And if Siddhant has an idea, then it has to bounce off with me as well. So we interchange our ideas, then we assign tasks to both of us, like Siddhant will do this aspect, I'll do this aspect. But we don't stay on those aspects for very long. We end up discussing again and then collaborating again.
Yeah, so basically, more of us, our workflow right now is, you can say, very collaborative. Every work that we do, even if it's only hardware oriented, then it's not like that work will completely 100% lie with Dipansh. I too contribute into hardware, and similarly, Dipansh contributes into the ML part. So, like during the course of our duration, we have been continuously increasing our knowledge and increasing our understanding in both of the fields, the software as well as the hardware, so that we both can complement and supplement each other's skills and work on and discuss things amongst each other.
How easy, how difficult is it? Because what you guys are doing, what I understand, that is something which is new. I'm assuming that it is a patentable also. You guys filing patents also for your technology?
Yeah.
Okay.
Start filing.
Awesome. Very good. So I'm sure there must be a lot of guidance, support, which you guys would be requiring. So how easy, how difficult was it being students, completing your studies, participating in all those events, and working on something which really requires for you to do a lot of R&D? So how has been your journey as 19-year, 20-year-old kids?
Yeah, so Regarding this, what I can say is definitely it requires a huge amount of inputs from people who are actually really good at machine learning and all those people. But we weren't able to actually get that kind of support. So most of our, you can say, the tech part we actually gathered through by attending different conferences, by listening to papers and TED talks and everything. And for the business aspect, we have been in touch with people like you and like Himanshu and others who have been continuously giving us inputs regarding how to actually create something into a business and make it profitable and be focused more towards the growth. So, and when we talk about challenges, that is one of the challenges a student faces. A student might have easy access to a technical advisor, but it's very difficult for a student to get connections with a business advisor, and that is something which is much more important when it comes to a startup for scaling. Like a student can build a product, but when he starts to scale it, then he starts to grow the business. For that aspect, it's very difficult for a student to get those business connections, and that's also where we faced a major of our challenges initiating those things.
Now I understand you have a lot of people to whom you have an access from business side, from funding side. So how did you crack that? Like being a student, and what is your learning which you can share with your fellow, colleagues, peers?
One thing state that we realized is LinkedIn. LinkedIn is something which is very important. And apart from that, and also one thing again, you are here to do business. There's no need to be I remember one of the investors, one of the member of PitchPark told me, he's a managing partner at PitchPark. So he told me once, and that was when I was in my first year, कि you are here, धंधा करने आए हो, बेशर्मी करना सीख लो. So it simply means that you should not be afraid to approach someone to do cold emailing, and you should be just simple and straightforward. It's very rare that you get time with people we got the opportunity to talk to Baba Kalyani, and there's just you have just 2 minutes to do everything and to leave an impact over there. So that's where we believe a person's passion shows up. Like if he is really passionate about his idea, and if he's really a believer of his idea himself, then 2 minutes is actually a very huge amount of time to actually convey that to the different person. And if once you're successful in conveying that passion to the different person, then there's a connection over there, and you can continue on that bridge. So that's what we want to share with everyone. Don't be afraid. LinkedIn is a must. Don't be afraid to do cold emailing and just simply reaching out to people and telling them what you are doing and why you are doing that. And third, when you get the chance to speak to someone, show your passion, that you actually believe in this stuff. Make that person, your passion should be so intimidating that a similar kind of passion also develops in the person who's listening to you. And he too is interested in what you're doing, so he goes back and does his research. And if he really likes it, then he reaches back to you. And that's how connections are built. And that's how we went ahead with it. We did a lot of cold emailing. We connected a lot of bits and alumni.
Alumni is a good way to start your network, because they're one of the easiest way to approach because of the college connection you have, and they'll play more of a mentor-like structure in your they'll be your mentors rather than rejecting you straight away. So they'll guide you through the process.
Yeah.
Okay, so when Siddharth, when you were speaking, there's one thing which came to my mind, which I thought I'll ask Dipansh. Dipansh, don't you feel that Siddharth does all the talking? How do you manage that? He doesn't.
No. That doesn't mind me at all, because I am like that. I'll prefer to stay silent. I'll listen. I'll absorb around 90% of the stuff that's going around me, and then I'll make only a couple of statements which I form in my mind. So I don't talk a lot, but yeah, that doesn't affect me.
Actually, we do things so similarly that if I am not the one talking and Dipansh is the one talking, it's highly probable that he will say exactly what.
So now, what are your plans? What are your future plans? How are you taking your company ahead?
Yeah. So like so far we have been a two-member army. You can say like we were a force to reckon with. So, but now our plan is to actually like to first of all build our team and hire some rock stars for us, so that we can like have a more diversified approach into the development aspects of the technology as well as the business, and like really take it forward and put our step on the gas pedal basically. And apart from hiring, our immediate next step is to start building. Like we are ready with our, you can say, prototypes. Now our vision is to actually within the span of next 6 months build our beta version and launch it for pre-orders, and also start beta testing amongst some control groups to gather feedback. And because one thing that is actually very important for a startup, that's feedback from potential customers, feedback from your mentors, your advisors, and your investors. And so feedback is something which is very important. So that's what our immediate next goal is, to do our beta launch and get some people to try out the product itself and use it regularly in their day-to-day tasks to get the feedback and tweak the design to, you can say, sustain long usage and
Yeah,
do all this.
build a actual product market fit product from a prototype.
Yeah.
Okay. So I think let's make one announcement which I gave a hint earlier. So you guys are raising funds. Congratulations. You have announced that you have raised funds, and for the audience, I would like to say that this is Hostel Fund's first investment. We launched roughly 45 days ago, and it's a proud moment for us that as a community we decided that we will fund in the student startups, and we got a lot of feedback and there were a lot of interest among Hostel Fund member community, and we are very proud. Personally, I we were evaluating 4 to 5 startups. In my head and heart, I wanted you guys to close the first funding because you are building something which is for the future, which is a true cause of Hostel Fund. I thought, there were other companies where we are evaluating. In my head, I thought, hey, can Cortex close their funding first so that we announce that this is our first? So congratulations on that. Tell us more about this funding round, who all are participating, and if you can share that how much money are you raising and all that. If not, which is okay, but what will be you doing with that money?
Yeah. So, we actually most of our funding actually came from BitSpark Angels. It's a angel group led by Bitsen alumni, and basically to help out the Bitsen community. Because as you pointed out, Hostel Fund's vision is to help startups in the college, and this is another aspect apart from the connections where college students really struggle. That's raising funds, because you can say in most of the angel groups and VC groups, you students are not taken that much seriously until they have someone to back them up. And also, if you look at all the incubators and accelerator programs, all the like college run incubators are not something which are, you can say, good enough for startups in general. So because they're eventually run by professors. It's not something that they have under their control. They have to maintain their lectures. They have to maintain everything, and then basically it's like a part-time job, you can say. So that's why. And then it comes to the accelerator programs. If you look at all the accelerator programs, be it in India, be it overseas, like Y Combinators and TechStars, they have this small contingency that you need to be a full-time member, and they straight up reject college students. So, and we believe groups like Hostel Fund and BitSpark Angels are something which actually help bridge this gap that's existing. And so, yeah, most of our fund is actually led by BitSpark Angels. It includes like a few investors from India as well as US. One is actually from United Kingdom as well, so you can see it's all-round team. So, and apart from that, we were Himanshu Jain, the co-founder of Diabetes, is also investing along with his co-investor Sanjay Tripathi. So the vision for our like the goals that we want to achieve with this funding is like to basically, as I already said, to fulfill our future plans. That is to get our product out for testing with beta users and pre-orders, and do a launch, and also build a team so that we can scale and grow quickly. And within this, like it took us 1 year to build our prototypes. Like we built total 4 prototypes. So this one, the current one, is our fourth version. So now we want that within the next 6 months we are ready with the product, because now we just need to tweak a few things to make it fit for the market, in terms of a little bit of optimization, making everything more modular and aesthetic. So that's our and apart from that, IP is one of the key reasons for raising funds, because now to go ahead before entering the market, IP is something which needs to be protected beforehand. So that's also one of the aspects where we'll be utilizing the funding. And yeah, we hope to so far we have been able to come from 0 to 1. Now we want to go from 1 to 10, and then from 10 to 1,000, and so on and so forth.
Congratulations, and this is very proud moment for us, and we know for sure that you guys will really build something which is very innovative. So congratulations. But are you guys excited? It doesn't look like raising a funding is one of the milestones. Well, you're so cool, yaar. ठीक है, हो गया, ये तो raise करना ही था. मतलब startup lives, raising fund is so important. तुमको ऐसा लग रहा है कि यार ठीक है, हो गया.
No, it's like basically one thing that we realized, and also like what we have seen, is many startups do this mistake of Jesse, and this is actually more true for students and startups, that as soon as they raise funding, they are like,
we are done, or we have achieved something.
Yeah. But like me and Dipansh, like just 2 days back, we were actually thinking, okay, now we have raised funds, and now we'll be hiring employees. Like everyone thinks that being an entrepreneur is a cool job. No, it's not. You have to take care of your investors. You have to take care of your technology. You have to take care of your vision. You're also responsible and accountable for the employees that you're hiring and their families as well, because everything is now dependent on you. So when all these things come in, then we have to be like do all the numbers and everything. And yeah, that some sorts of each away the excitement, because now okay, funding aa gayi, ab ye utilize hoga, and we have to utilize it very judiciously. It's not like that money just needs to be blown off. So that's one of the other we can say things we'd like to share with everyone, that receiving funding is not an achievement. It is definitely a step closer, but it's not equivalent to your success. Success is when you are able to give back the return to everyone who is involved with you. So it's just a step closer, but not the ultimate vision that we.
No, very true, very true. And I think what you guys are speaking is lot of very seasoned entrepreneurs also don't think in that way. So which my sincere wishes to you, because I personally, being part of an investor community, I believe the best funding which as a startup you should get is a funding from your customer by doing
Yes,
exactly.
That's the best sustainable thing. The other funding, let's say whatever the round in which we participated, is just a support for you guys.
Yeah, exactly.
And actually sell. That's what our and this is great. So is it all this thought process, all this learning which you guys are saying, is this do you get this environment in your college, in your BITS Pilani as a college, or you have seen entrepreneurship in your families? How's it?
It's like basically like all of our during this whole journey, like me and Dipansh are hardcore, you can say, tech people. So all of our journey and all of our decision making is through talking with different people. And when we talk with so many people, we tend to develop some, you can say, experience, and some get their insights and learn from them. So that's how it.
All of these has been inherited learnings from talking to people like you or Himanshu or some people from Bitspark Angels. So they actually tell us that primarily raising funds from an investor is not for you to consider a success. It is for your startup to survive.
Yeah.
Your primary success will only count just when you have enough customers that you don't require any funding. So this learnings like these are actually like we don't get them inherited from somewhere, but we get them by talking to several people and developing our own mindset according to the learnings that we get from them.
Great.
And apart from that, when it comes to working at BITS on an entrepreneur, so BITS has a very good ecosystem when it comes to entrepreneurship. Especially BITS Goa. There's Mridula ma'am over there, and she is actually one of the key connects who helped us connect with Pratim, the first guy in the VC industry. And so it's all started from there. So and also the flexibility in your timetable and all these academics allows a person to become more and to focus on his priorities and prioritize things accordingly. So yeah, that's also a huge advantage.
And also several startups from BITS community which have like Postman who just raised their funding and turned into a unicorn. And like a lot of startups from BITS community helps us, like help students in the community to be motivated to build something of such sort.
Yeah. That is very much. So now you have one more year to finish your studies. So what are your plans?
Yes. So basically what we did was like we understood that okay, now our time has come that we need to raise funding, and we also realized the fact that once we raise funding we cannot actually
slack on
any aspect of our business. If we were giving our 100% so far, now we have to give 120% or more. So that's why like what me and Dipansh did was that we completed all our CDCs and most of our academic requirements beforehand. So only the academic requirements left for us for the last year is a thesis and a project. So
yeah, we'll do work. And the project type course, we can do it offline. We'll connect with the professor and we'll make our submissions online to him. And so it's not a compulsion for us to stay in college, but we'll still complete our academic requirements because we prioritized our academics first to complete them beforehand before getting into these shoes.
Yeah, exactly. So basically, we created a framework around us so that the college, the academics do not create any hindrance for us when we are working towards scaling of our business. And because we believe like for us, this is our vision, this is our ultimate goal. And we see a huge potential in this, especially when it comes to helping out the humanity in its self. So that's why we do not want any kind of noise, you can say, coming in from any angles. So we took some, you can say, signal processing methods to process that noise and shift it earlier itself, so that we do not have to deal with that.
Wow. Talking in technical language. Great.
Yeah.
So tell me, I think we will wrap up in few moments. One of the questions, how do you guys keep yourself motivated? Have you planned everything out and it panned out accordingly, or how has been the journey so far?
Yeah. So
I'll add one thing. Planning stuff about future doesn't land that way. It just softens the blow that you will receive, but it will never work according to the plan that you've built, because we have made thousands of plans, they've gone bad, but we have planned that we can sustain it and we have worked accordingly.
Yeah, so basically how we do is that whenever we do an analysis, we do the best case as well as the worst case analysis, so that we are not unprepared for anything. So whatever happens, we are there, we know what strategy to follow. That's how we do our thing. We think both ways. We think best if we do this, the worst this happens.
So the best keeps motivating us and the worst prepares us for the...
Yeah, the best keeps us motivated and the worst keeps us in check.
Great. Yeah. No, which is good. And how has been your family, friends support to you?
It has been actually a pretty great.
Yeah, my father has been a lot of support. My mother has been a lot of support. Like right now also we took a room on rent behind my house. So my mother constantly provides us with meals and takes care of all our things that we need, like whether it be water or any kind of juices and all, everything. And my father also, they helped us financially at the starting because we required funds to go forward and start something. And they have been constant mental support as well, because they don't demand us to persuade into high paying jobs or that. They're supportive of what we are doing, and they just want us to do what we want exactly, like we have passion for.
Exactly. And like for me, it's like my sister actually is a consultant at BCG. So like initially my mother was like, "Ki beta tu like this is the second time I'm defying my mother. First time was during my college admissions. Actually, I took admission in BITS out of her way. Then basically, and then I told her, like my sister actually talked to my mother and said he knows what he's doing. He took that decision of BITS, and you can see it for yourself that it turned out very good. And now also he knows what he's doing. Let him do what he is. And once my sister actually conveyed that to my mother's like, okay, it's okay. And so like it has been very supportive, like from everyone in my family. And whenever it's like, okay, I need to go somewhere, I need to order something, like if it's possible for you to get it to Pilani or somewhere else, they are very supportive in those terms. And yeah, like it has been great so far.
Great. So this has been great. I have been interacting with you guys for last one month or so. I maybe a pain in your lives maybe sometimes, because I kept on asking a lot of questions, kept on questioning. But to be very honest, I'm very proud of being a very small part, which I'm trying to play in your journey. All the best, all the best. Congratulations on raising your first institutional fund.
Congratulations to you as well, actually.
Yeah, thank you. The party is due on both sides.
Yeah.
Great.